Welcome back. All right, career video for today. We're going to take a look at Brent Ashton. Brent Ashton was a player that I liked who bounced around the league a lot, ended up being traded quite often. So, Brent Ashton was a number 26 pick in 1979 by the Vancouver Canucks. Doesn't stay in Vancouver very long. So 79-80, 47 games played for Vancouver, so he plays right out of the draft. 5 goals, 14 assists, 19 points. In the playoffs, he records 1 goal in 4 games. 80-81, 77 games played, 18 goals, 11 assists for 29 points. In the playoffs, no points in 3 games, as that year Vancouver got swept by, I believe it was Buffalo in 81. I think it was Philadelphia in 80 that knocked them out the first round. You remember these things. Anyways, Vancouver decides to trade him. They trade him to the Colorado. Well, they trade him first to the Winnipeg Jets. On July 15th, he's traded with the 1982 fourth round pick for Ivan Hlinka, and then he gets traded to the Colorado Rockies with the 1982 third for Lucien Deblois. So it's a 3-way deal. He ends up being a member of the Colorado Rockies for their final season in Colorado. 80 games played with the Rockies, 24 goals, 36 assists for 60 points. Then the team is transferred to New Jersey, and he transfers to New Jersey with them, of course. Plays the 1 year in New Jersey, 76 games. His points total drops off 14 goals, 19 assists, 33 points. Very up and down career for Brent Ashton, as we will see. And on October the 3rd, so as he's getting ready for the following season, he is traded to the Minnesota North Stars in exchange for Dave Lewis. 83-84 with Minnesota. He's further down the lineup. Minnesota, a deeper team, and it shows in his point totals. 68 games, 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points. In the playoffs, 12 games, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points. So 84-85, he's going to get traded again. Plays for the Minnesota North Stars, 29 games, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. How many teams has he played for that moved? It's a lot. So December 14th, he is traded with Brad Maxwell in exchange for Bo Berglund and Tony McKegney to the Quebec Nordiques. So now he's off to Quebec, plays 49 games with Quebec after that trade, and his scoring is fantastic there. 27 goals, 24 assists, 51 points. In the playoffs, 18 games as Quebec went on a bit of a run that year. 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points. 85-86, again with the Nordiques. 77 games, 26 goals, 32 assists, 58 points. In the playoffs, he adds 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points in 3 games. So again, he's producing quite well for Quebec, and 86-87 starts off really well. 46 games, 25 goals, 19 assists, 44 points. So he's on a 40-plus goal pace. So what do? They trade him. January 17th, he's traded with Gilbert Delorme to Detroit, and Mark Kumpel going with him as well to Detroit in exchange for Basil McRae, John Ogrodnik, and Doug Shedden. So big trade there. He ends up in Detroit. 86-87 with Detroit after the trade. 35 games, 15 goals, so that gives him an even 40 on the season. 16 assists, 31 points. In the playoffs, 4 goals, 9 assists, 13 points in 16 games. So he's a solid playoff producer. And again, Detroit at this point is getting better, and we're getting out of what was a really rough era for the Detroit Red Wings. 87-88, 73 games played, 26 goals, 27 assists, 53 points. In the playoffs, 7 goals, 5 assists for 12 points in 16 games. And then in the offseason, he is traded yet again. June the 13th, he is traded to the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for Paul McLean. Paul McLean, a player who's scored 40 goals previous to that in a season. Ashton, of course, with a 40-goal season as well, off to the Winnipeg Jets, where he would play the most games of any team that he played for. In 88-89 with Winnipeg, he gets off to quite the start. 75 games, 31 goals, 37 assists, 68 points. And so again, for me as a fan, I'm just kind of struggling to figure out why Ashton moves so often, because he's a good player. It's not like he's not a good player. He's a good player. 89-90, his second year in Winnipeg, 79 games, 22 goals, 34 assists, 56 points. In the playoffs, he plays 7 games that year, 3 goals with an assist for 4 points. 90-91 with Winnipeg, the offense drops off 61 games, 12 goals, 34 assists, 46 points. And the goal scoring doesn't quite come back. 91-92 plays 7 games with Winnipeg, 1 goal, and he's traded. On October 29th, he is traded to the Boston Bruins in exchange for Petri Skriko. People watching this video who are familiar with Skriko will say, wait a minute, he went from Boston to Winnipeg? Yep. So to finish off that season with Boston, he plays 61 games, 17 goals, 22 assists, 39 points. So he still ends up with 40 points. That's respectable. But 92-93, this is where his season and his career take a bit of a turn. 26 games with Boston, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. They would actually send him to the AHL. This is the first time in his career he'd played in the American Hockey League. February 1st, they end up trading him to the Calgary Flames in exchange for C.J. Young. And to finish out the season with Calgary, he plays 32 games, 8 goals, 11 assists for 19 points. In the playoffs, he adds 3 assists in 6 games. So he's productive, but he goes through the summer. He's unsigned. So 93-94, he was actually playing with the Las Vegas Thunder in the IHL, the International Hockey League. For people who may not be familiar, it's actually a pretty good league. It tried to become a rival to the NHL at one point. Didn't really work out that well, but I admire their moxie. But at any rate, during that season with the Las Vegas Thunder, he ends up with a knee injury that would bring his career to a halt. And it's too bad because he plays 998 games, 2 games short of 1,000, 284 goals, 345 assists for 629 points. In the playoffs, 85 games, 24 goals, 25 assists, 49 points. He also won silver at the 1989 World Championships, and he is tied with Mike Sillinger for the most traded player in NHL history. 9 times he was traded. Sillinger played with more teams, but Sillinger also was a free agent pickup. But yeah, you look at this, Ashton, Vancouver, Colorado. Colorado moves to New Jersey. Minnesota, of course, would move to Dallas. The Quebec Nordiques, they end up moving to Colorado. And the Winnipeg Jets, they end up moving to Arizona. So the only one he missed here was Hartford. But if he'd played another year, who knows? Maybe he would have ended up in Hartford, who, of course, has moved to Carolina. So it's an interesting career for the number of trades and the fact that a lot of teams he played with, those organizations moved. So it's an interesting career. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.